What's up, party people? Welcome back to Fake Nerds Watch. We're the Fake Nerd Podcast. I'm Ryan. We got Sparks. We got Brandon and Ben. And we're here to talk about parties. We love partying. We love getting down. And, we don't destroy anything in the universe. We just party. We're going to talk about what if.
You're like here in whole body. I'm not used to it.
Oh, yeah. I'm not wearing a green screen today. I was lazy. I'm feeling lazy. But we're back. We're talking about Marvel's What If. What's up, everybody? We feeling party-like today?
Well, for a bit, I was like, why does Ryan look so weird? Because he's not his usual floating, disembodied head. It's like, oh my God, he actually does have a body. Okay.
Today I do have a body. What if I use this body to rage like our boy Thor did?
So it's what if Thor was an only child?
What if he was brothers with other mothers with everyone in the universe? And I gotta say, guys, we're back at it. I like this episode a whole lot. What about you guys?
I want to live in this world.
Yeah.
It turns out that if Loki hadn't been adopted by Odin, the universe was just fine.
The universe was just a good time.
If anything, yeah, like much like the Black Panther thing, like if life were different, it'd be so much better. Because instead of conquering, Thor just goes and he convinces everyone to hang out and party with him, and they become his best friends. And everyone in the world is his best friend.
Honest to God, I was waiting for Thanos to show up as part of the party. And I'd be like everybody parties in this universe.
It was weird because while I'm watching it, there's there's Topaz and the Grandmaster and Valkyrie. Yeah. So he's been to Sakaar, and there's Drax. So Drax's family wasn't another universe where Drax's family wasn't destroyed, I guess. Although he just got over it.
Ragnarok doesn't happen because there's peace with Surtur.
Yeah,
Surtur's just hanging out.
Surtur freaking is hitting on the Statue of Liberty for crying out loud.
Melts its arm.
Yeah, it's like so. I got a crown too. It's
so I think what I learned about this show, because I talked about it with Sparks a little bit, when this creative team sticks to one avenue, I think it really works. Because I think the best episodes, and for me there's only been 3 really good ones. It's the 2 comedy ones, which is the T'Challa Star-Lord, and then this one, and then the evil Doctor Strange. And it's them not trying to do multiple tones at once. Whereas all the other episodes I think are not very good at balancing the tones. Whereas this one is just like, yo man, we're just here to have fun. Do not think about it. Just have fun.
I don't think last week's Killmonger struggled with balancing tone. That wasn't the issue.
Okay, sure.
Sure. I don't think tone imbalance was I agree with you on the other stuff.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there is we've discussed it even before. I think during the Doctor Strange episode. I'm not mispronouncing Doctor Strange. I'm saying Doctor Strange on purpose.
No, I know. I just don't like it.
And I think that you're absolutely correct in the sense that it's just one. It feels like it's just one guy writing all these episodes, and I haven't checked, so I don't know for sure if it's not.
It's like 2. It's like 2.
Two. Well, yeah. They just don't. They have a hard time getting the tone of what they're trying to do, and they have trouble getting the voices of the characters right. Relying way too often on just performances. And I think when they decide to be like, this is just one tone, one straightforward plot, there is nothing else. I think this is kind of where they succeed, and this being one of the stronger episodes of the show kind of cements that theory.
Yeah, it feels focused.
Yeah. In a way where others don't.
Yeah. No, strangely enough, this doesn't feel like it's jumping all over the place either, because it's Thor throwing a massive rager on Earth because dad's asleep, mom's going off to the solstice to see her sister. Let's go ahead and party, baby.
So Frigga was a worse mother to Thor, or it was just more comedic?
I feel like this is oh god, I had a movie analogy that it's
Smart House.
What's up?
It's Smart House.
Smart House.
Yeah, it is that scene in Smart House. You're right. You're absolutely right.
What a movie. That takes me back.
The premise, like it's an alien invasion, but the end of the episode, it's, oh my god, my mom's coming home, we have to clean up the house. Mm-hmm. But it's on a galactic scale. I've just never seen that before. Yeah. It's so ridiculous. And Thor is fixing the Leaning Tower of Pisa. And I yelled out no, Thor!
I saw that too. I'm like, Thor's supposed to be like that.
Yeah, I think all the performances are fun. It's really great that, like, again, you can get someone like Jeff Goldblum for 30 seconds. Natalie Portman's in this episode. I didn't think it was her. I was like, wow, that's a good fake Natalie Portman. And then my roommates were like, no, that's just her. And I'm like, oh.
I looked that up after because I wasn't sure throughout the episode, and then this is kind of one of those things where it benefits from the fact that Natalie Portman has quashed whatever beef she had with Marvel after the Dark World. You know, and we're seeing the fruit of that labor in Thor: Love and Thunder later on, but it's kind of just more along the lines of like, you know, clearly they are on good terms again because she showed up in Endgame, she showed up at the red carpet premiere, and she's in this episode. She didn't have to do this. Many of the actors don't, but like she was down to do it, and I would think that's really cool.
I have to imagine real quick, Ben, that like because they just filmed Love and Thunder, like they shot, like they did this audio recording during Love and Thunder. Like, hey, can you step into a booth? Because like it's not like it takes a long time to record these lines, right? And like Chris Hemsworth is just like, he's so naturally funny. Like I could absolutely see him like becoming a big voice actor because like he's just doing Ragnarok Thor like in Thor 1. He's Ragnarok Thor from the beginning.
It makes me wish that we could have had comedic Thor more in the earlier films.
Absolutely, yeah.
Before he like even like morally gray comedic Thor.
Yeah.
In the early days.
Yeah, but I think we've seen it. Like his comedic chops didn't come out until Ghostbusters, when everyone realized like, oh shit, you're funny.
Yeah, he's definitely funny, and he was. One of the things I love about this episode is actually the voice acting. I know in prior episodes we've kind of not really God damn it, I had the word. We kind of ragged on the voice acting a little bit, but of course we said, hey, the director's not a voice director. These actors can be good voice actors. They just don't have good voice direction, like i.e. Sebastian Stan being the biggest offender. This whole episode, I was having a blast with every single performance. Natalie Portman, with Chris Hemsworth, even Kat Dennings. She was absolutely hilarious in this episode.
Yeah, Kat Dennings is, I think, such a natural voice actor. I'm only going to push back on one actor.
Tom Hiddleston.
No, actually, no. I'm not going to push back on the Tom Hiddleston.
Oh, okay.
It's Frank Grillo.
Oh, he's in it.
He's in it for very briefly, but he's not good at voice acting.
We never get to fire the nukes.
Yes, I like that because it's him doing something he's never done before. Yeah. I think for me,
I like his line. I think it's funny. He's not great.
Yeah. No, yeah. I didn't dislike Tom Hiddleston in this, but I definitely think he, for me, was the weak one. Like he definitely, when I think of, I guess I don't know. When I think of Loki being the Frost Giant, I expected his voice to not be, oh, it's just lighthearted. Like I expected to be a little different than just like the boisterous Tom Hiddleston. And I thought he's doing like a Chris Hemsworth type of Ragnarok funny, and it 100% didn't work for me, but it wasn't distracting at all. But he was the weakest for me.
There is an issue that Tom Hiddleston has in the 2 episodes he's in, which is the murder mystery one, which what if Earth lost his mightiest heroes or whatever, and this one, where he's making his voice, he's putting on a voice. He's making it higher and he's making it gravelier. And he normally doesn't talk like that as Loki. Only when like emotional scenes will he get the graveliness. And but it's weird to see him kind of like feel like he needs to put on a voice when he's doing he's doing this work when he could just use his natural voice. It's almost like he's self-conscious to do it. Like he's thinking about it. I
also wonder if it was like the direction or like, hey, be lighter. Like this is the kids show version of it. You're not evil Loki, you're light Loki, which again, like I guess is a counter to my own point, but he definitely was the one I'm like, oh, you don't sound like 100% in here for me.
He really grew into his giant though.
He was, yeah. And I do love like, again, him still being bros with Loki, brothers from other mothers. They have like a little pinky thing. Like I think it's
just so insane to me to think that like, not only if Odin hadn't taken Loki, would he have just grown up to be a normal sized giant anyway? He just would have been really good friends with Thor, and would never have had that kind of antagonistic relationship that he has with Thor in the films. It would never become a villain. It's just crazy to me, and really just solidifies how terrible of a parent Odin really is.
He likes to take naps. Like I get it.
So I'll point out the performance that was weak for me, and I'll say that up front, it's I don't think it's really the voice actor's fault, but it's Captain Marvel.
Oh, okay, sure.
And I don't think it's like, oh, they're not doing a very good job of like being like Brie Larson or something like that. I think that the problem is that these writers, which is fair, still don't know who Captain Marvel should be as a character. So Captain Marvel's kind of just present, but doesn't have a lot to her, which is unfortunate.
She's a force.
Yeah. And I chalk that up to like, well, if you've only seen the movies, you don't really know a lot about who she's supposed to be right now.
She's tough.
Right. She's very much a Superman caricature, but for a lady. And I'm like, that's fine. But it is like, there's not a lot there to work with. I found this has been an increasing problem, but I think this was the episode where it stood out to me the most, of like some of the female face designs in particular really get to me sometimes because they do makeup really bad. Maria Hill has like this awful eyeshadow.
I've noticed
it's like distractingly bad.
And I'm like black eyes.
And I'm like, she like barely has eye makeup in the movies. I don't know where this affectation is coming from for her.
Yeah.
But the one that got me was Captain Marvel's really, really too bright red lipstick.
It is.
Drove me nuts. Yeah. I'm like, nowhere does Carol have lips like that in the movies. Like, I don't know what this choice was, but like, it's so distracting.
I think that's a really good point. I know I always have an issue with when it comes to human faces in general, and I think you really pointed something out that I have been kind of looking for, kind of the explanation for why I'm struggling with even the female faces.
But even in this episode, I didn't feel that same way when watching Kat Dennings and Natalie Portman's characters. Like, they didn't do such a bad makeup job. Now, granted, like, I'll also say I don't think Natalie Portman's face looks like Natalie Portman at all.
Yeah.
Darcy looks the best. But something about the makeup choices with Maria Hill and Captain Marvel, like, really, really were distractingly bad to me.
It's super interesting because you'd like to think they have, like, a uniform look for all the characters. And, like, you just do what the MCU, like, make them look like the actors. But I guess they have like 90% of the actors, so I don't know why you just don't make them look like the actors.
It's kind of the issue.
Half the time they do, half the time they don't.
It's kind of the issue that I get when you read like a comic book tie-in to a sequel show, a comic book sequel to a show or whatever, like Smallville, for example. Like, you know, the cover has a painted look of Tom Welling as Superman, but you turn that page, that doesn't look like Tom Welling at all. But like sometimes an artist will draw it to look similar, and I think you kind of run into that where it's like sometimes they want to take an artistic license to make a character look like an animated character, or try to kind of get them close to that look that you notice that they're that character. But sometimes I don't think they go quite far enough. I do understand the attempt to want to make it an animated character because this is an animated format. But I would appreciate more attempts to line them up with their live action counterparts.
I still think Robert Downey Jr. looks like the worst. I think he still might be, for me, like the worst looking of all the characters. He just had lines on his face.
As I was watching this episode, I mean, I've had this problem throughout the entire time I would watch What If, because there are times it's like, yes, they do look like the actors and the characters they're portraying, but there are times like, well, especially this one, I was watching Thor, I was like, he does not look like Chris Hemsworth. But I know it's Chris Hemsworth because his voice is coming out of his mouth. So
it's a close approximation. Yeah.
His chin is like the bottom half of his face is much thicker than Chris Hemsworth's face is.
I think it's
even in the first Thor film, Chris Hemsworth had some stubble to it. This
one.
Well,
I get the no desire to put stubble because I get the idea of not wanting to put the stubble because party Thor, it's a different type of Thor. He's more clean shaven. I get that, but it's the facial structure is what we're talking about. Of like sometimes the structure doesn't quite line up.
What gets me is like the inconsistency, like how some are just so clear and then others don't even seem close. And I'm like, how are we so like, I can recognize that actor spot on. And then you look at another and I'm like, I don't know. One in particular, like in this episode that bothers me is I lost it. I got distracted by Ben gesturing. Go ahead, Ben.
No, I was going to prove your point, or to add to your point. When you see the Grandmaster and Topaz, to me, those look almost exactly like Jeff Goldblum and that actor who plays Topaz, whose name I sadly do not know. I'm like, that's them. And then when you look at like not Darcy, Jane, it's like doesn't really look like Natalie Portman, but I know it's supposed to be Natalie Portman.
I was gonna say, now I remember. It's you brought up that you think the worst one's Robert Downey Jr. so far. For me, it's definitely Paul Rudd's Ant-Man. If his voice wasn't coming out of him, I wouldn't know that's him. Like, that face looks nothing like Paul Rudd to me.
I would say the same with Peter Parker.
I would also kind of push the same with Peter Parker, but like Paul Rudd is the one that really stands out to me because you don't even get the body, you just have a head. And I'm like, straight up, if like his voice wasn't coming out of there, I wouldn't know who that's supposed to be.
If you, without their costumes, just put all of these characters on like a lineup, I think like a third of them, you'd be like, I don't know who that is. Like if you put Peter Parker in like just like a regular like shirt, you'd be like, who is this guy? I don't know who that is.
I'll be like, that's an extra from one of the things. Oh, that's supposed to be Peter Parker? Fooled me.
And Doctor Strange looks great.
Yeah.
Like both shaved and with beard.
He's also,
like he looks consistent.
I guess because he's
Benedict
more
Cumberbatch
distinct.
has a very distinct.
Yeah, he's
face,
definitely more distinct.
Yeah. But it is hard when you have like so many that are in the episode well done, and then those that aren't. And I think the other hard part is when it doesn't look like the person, but the person is playing the role.
Yes.
Like Natalie Portman's Jane in this one
is
a tough one because I'm like, I know this is her because I hear her voice. But boy, does this not look like her.
Yeah, I think I'd be really interested to see side by sides. I'm sure they exist. I haven't looked them up though. Like side by sides of these characters and really just like look at where the differences.
Natalie Portman's been in cartoon form for a while on Clone Wars, so really clearly looks like her. I'm not sure how we're not getting it right at this moment.
It makes me wonder if like, because obviously they animated before they do the voice stuff for it, the voice capture.
Yeah,
it makes me wonder if like they wanted all the characters to look enough like them, but not enough just in case they couldn't get all the actors. So like, oh, it's not Paul Rudd, even though it is Paul Rudd.
That's a weird way to go about it.
No, I know.
Like doing the MCU.
Yeah, but you are doing that. So like,
it's weird. I mean, as always, the ones that come out strongest are the ones who do unique faces, like Jeff Goldblum or Benedict Cumberbatch, or the aliens. Like I see Drax, that's Drax. Nebula. Like I see that when it comes to the alien faces, it's when it gets to the humans, the human faces specifically. I think this animation constantly just struggles with.
Yeah. But the makeup thing in particular, I noticed it before, but this was the one where I was like, wow, this just like straight up is not the makeup these characters have in like a really egregious way.
I will say, bring it back to some positive. I think the fight between Thor and Captain Marvel is great. So good. Yeah. Like we don't really get to see, like obviously like Civil War's heroes fight, but you don't get to see like the big powers fight each other. So it's cool to see
Dragon Ball Z fight.
100% turns into a Dragon Ball Z fight.
Dragon Ball Z
everything.
You brought up the fight. I wanted to talk about it because there's a lot of things that I love about that fight. Like obviously, you get some big Dragon Ball Z influences in there, but to see these two incredibly superpowered characters, and you've never seen this type of unhinged fighting in the MCU yet. This is the first time where it's like if Thor hits you with a hammer full blast, it's not gonna knock you across the street. It's gonna knock you across the planet. To see that in like Captain Marvel's punches, but also we get to see Captain Marvel's absorption power that she has in the comics, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
Because you brought it up for a second there, the thing that like I think it happened for you too, which was like, man, they really know what they're doing with the tone of this one, is when we get that first knock around the planet shot and it shows France and it says France on it. And I'm like, oh, they know what they're making here.
Absolutely.
Or when they land in the UK and they're at Stonehenge and they're like, no one knows what these are, but just don't. He's like, oh no, you're not knocked over with your stones. I love the comedy. And okay, one of the things I absolutely adore about this episode, I really want to talk about, are the sight gags. Like when there's a party and things get vandalized, things get broken. Mount Rushmore gets a bunch of ice mustaches on them. One of my favorite gags was at the end. It's like, we got this giant thing from St. Louis, I don't know, but we're gonna turn it into a slingshot. It's the freaking gateway arch to the west from St. Louis.
I didn't know that.
It's like, we gotta put this. It's upside down, and they're gonna use it as a slingshot.
I know very little about about American architecture. I think you brought up Captain Marvel a little bit ago, and I wanted to bring up that I think this episode because you brought up the struggle that the MCU is having with Captain Marvel's characterization. We haven't seen her a lot outside of her film, and this episode, yeah. And I didn't want to take a crack at the movie.
I will every time.
Well, because then here's the thing: like half of that movie,
she has amnesia.
She's not sure who she is, and Endgame suffers because they hadn't made that movie yet.
They filmed that
didn't
before.
know who she was, and so she is essentially an idea of a character.
Yeah,
and I think
there was an idea.
I think they will get there, but we're not there yet.
That's what I want. That's what I wanted to say. That's what I wanted to bring up by bringing up Captain Marvel's characterization. It makes me very excited, tentatively, albeit, for the Marvels, because I want to see Captain Marvel. I like that movie enough, and I like that character enough, and I like Brie Larson enough that I want to see that character really come to fruition. I want to see that character become a whole character, because then when we see her again in something like What If or something like the next Avengers, then we actually get a sense of who that character is, and that just makes me excited.
It's a really big bummer as someone who has read a lot of Captain Marvel comics since her relaunch. We haven't gotten that character on screen yet.
Thompson's.
We no, Kelly Sue DeConnick and Thompson, everybody's.
No, I know,
yeah,
but like what Thompson's doing right now is like.
It's really good, but she's been this character for a decade.
No, for sure.
And it's just like, yes, she's a strong, powerful female character, but also she can have a personality. You know, that's also something that could be possible. And I really like that for that next movie. I believe the Marvels will.
I believe it too.
Will do that.
I don't think you get Nia DaCosta on that, and it's gonna have the same issues that first one did. I think that just that debut was mishandled and poorly thought out.
Yeah, I never. Amnesia in a scenario is always like a no for me, unless it's done really well. And just like, how do you introduce a character in half the movie you don't know who they are? It's like, that's just so bleh. I don't like that. Marvels coming out in 2020.
I didn't want to get onto a ragging about that movie, but I just wanted to talk about I'm looking forward to the time that Captain Marvel solidifies as a character.
Well, and I'm glad you circle back to it, because like I do think there's some nice glimmers of things in here. I really like that she has the moment where she comes down and gives him the iPad, the tablet with all the stuff, and she's really cute with Frigga. I'm like, she's doing a bit. This is the Captain Marvel personality stuff I want to see more of. Yeah. And there are moments of that in here, and again, like I'm not really blaming anybody. It just is kind of the situation as it is. But like her character just doesn't get to have the full impact. Like she feels like the party pooper wet blanket of the episode, because she's not capable of having the kind of fun that the others are.
To be fair,
which is part of the point.
To be fair, she is a cop. Yeah. She is the villain of Civil War II. She is very much pro-capitalism, pro-imperialism.
Sure.
She works in the military. So like that aspect of the character, I 100% buy. Yeah. It's just they don't do enough with it. It just turns into a big fight, and then
I mean, even you look at the situation, Fury's in trouble. All she knows is Fury's in trouble. There's an alien invasion on Earth.
Yep.
Coming in with that situation, you're going to try to stop that alien invasion. You don't have the full context of everything.
No, you are the last hope of this world as far as
I did appreciate how quickly and like easily they acknowledged that, like, Fury went in first and he got knocked out. Which I think is really nice. I'm glad that they did something like that to give Maria Hill focus.
Yeah.
I was actually kind of scared because when you see Maria Hill for the first time and she calls herself the acting director of S.H.I.E.L.D. and she's like, "Do you want to know why I'm the acting director?" I'm like, "Oh no, please tell me they didn't kill Fury." Fury just got like knocked into a pool and he's unconscious. I'm like, okay, thank God, because I was really scared that this episode was going to take a super dark turn, and I was like, he just got knocked out.
I have a quick question for you, Ben. Would it really have mattered if Fury died in this episode? It's not like it matters for this universe or anything.
I think only in the sense that like it would kind of kill the buzz of it just being a good time episode.
Sure.
Yeah. I think it's kind of dour if it's that way, whereas like because like it makes the whole ending like they're responsible for the death of Nick Fury. Like that's still kind of going to be a sticking point, but it makes the whole thing like ultimately they cleaned it up. It was harmless fun.
Also, there's the whole like it's like side point of like, oh, Thor, like you like there was a planet that you destroyed. It's like, oh no, we partied with them and there was an asteroid. We had nothing to do with that. We actually saved them. So it's like actively like Thor's still a good person.
Even the Lamb got home eventually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man. I struggle with the show because like I want them to have more complexities in it, right? Like I want them to be able to have the light and the dark as life is, but they're not good at it. So until then, I will take a strictly fun, fluffy episode or a strictly dark, depressing episode. Until then, don't flip flop. Stick to an avenue. I love that.
I would rather, much like any writer, honestly, I would rather them stick to their strengths, and their strengths are not balancing tone.
100%.
And if they realize that, I think we could get a stronger show.
Yeah.
But quite honestly, like, as much as I like this episode, this show is starting to kind of weigh on me a bit. Like I said, am I in for another mediocre one, or am I in for the rare time that it'll be a great one? Like I'm kind of getting to the point where it's like, I don't know if I want to continue, honestly.
I definitely feel that. This episode kind of cemented for me, like, as much as I like this episode, like it is one of the top 3, it's still not MCU quality, right? Like this is still like it's not the MCU TV show quality. Mm-hmm. This feels like, kids TV show stuff, and that doesn't mean they're bad, but just the quality level and the things that they could do, they're not doing. So now that we're here, I'm like, okay, I know this is fluff, no matter how good it's going to be, so I can accept that. If season 2 they want to try harder, I'm there. But until then,
and I think we're gonna have to see how we feel with what's coming, because the episode sets up that we are in for something major.
Yeah. So,
but I don't want to talk about that quite yet. I really want to highlight. I think Chris Hemsworth is just smashing MVP role in this episode. Yeah. Like I got so lost in enjoying him that I forgot that it was Chris Hemsworth in a good way, because it just sounded like
Thor. It was natural.
It just sounded like Thor.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but it's him, and it was so good. Favorite voice acting line of the whole thing is when he's getting punched by Captain Marvel. He goes, I'm like, oh my
God. When he's off screen is always really fun to me, because you just hear him say something funny that feels like they were just like, Chris, just say something funny. There's a bit where Natalie Portman is talking to Colby Smulders, and you just hear Thor go, "Oh, look, there's a cute little rabbit in the sink."
I will say this is the first one I've watched where I've been excited to watch it again at some point soon, because I could use the laugh. I want to see some of the things I didn't see the first time. The Howard and Darcy marriage is one of the best gags.
Shut up, Howard.
I love how throughout the episode you see Thor's tattoo getting science and Jane got magic with Mjolnir.
Mm-hmm.
Also, one of my for some reason, like when Thor's trying to rally everyone to like, hey, we gotta clean the planet. You hear Grandmaster's like, no, we're getting out here, but we're keeping the scoots.
Yeah,
I just love when Jeff Goldblum says scoot. I'm like, this is one of my favorite episodes of the show so far. This is just downright hilarious.
The whole concept of him using the Thunder God power and calling down, "You all need to listen to me. My mother is coming," and everyone goes,
everyone in the party is like, everyone is like, "Your mom!" It's like fear of God, right? Fear of a goddess right there.
She's coming through the Bifrost, like.
Yeah, the Thrash gets to Frigga as she's coming in, and you're like, oh boy, and they're like, quickly, I love like the big things that they're doing, and then there's like 3 cuts to just Thor trying to scrub some graffiti.
Thor rules!
Like, oh no!
Like Surtur putting the fact that Surtur is also scared of Frigga.
Right.
Hell yeah.
And in true comedy fashion, like the fact that they nailed it, they got away with it, and the perfect symbolism of Thor not totally covering his bases when he calls Mjolnir back. And it's
like
just
underwear.
Covered in the party beads and things like that, graffiti. And he's like, "Oh, mother, I can explain it." She's like, "Oh, you almost got it. You almost had it, Thor."
This close. You were this close, Thor.
I was up until the end. I was like, "This doesn't seem so bad.
Yeah,
this seems all right. What's the Watcher worrying about?"
So this was really nice, because this was also the first episode in a while where the Watcher only narrated at the beginning, and then we don't really hear from him or see him the whole episode till the end.
Yeah.
And at the end, he's like, and then they lived how they say it, happily ever after. I'm like, oh, the Watcher just wanted to feel good for a moment.
Yeah, right.
The Watcher just wanted things to be nice, and then he's all, wait, what?
Yeah, that was the go ahead.
The second the Watcher goes, wait, what? And I'm like, oh. And of course we see what happens in the end. I'm like, oh shit. All the happy feelings gone.
Though the Watcher, the idea that like this episode is just good vibes. Like it's just and I remember watching this bit And like the Watcher was talking about, like, and Thor's like giving like Jane gonna go on a date with Jane, and like I turned to Zara and I go, yeah, this isn't so bad. This is better than the MCU timeline. This is great.
There's a whole planet with unicorns. Even the waiters are unicorns. We'll go there.
And like I was just like this is the best universe we've ever seen, and I'm counting the MCU, and I'm counting T'Challa's Star-Lord
people
universe.
are the happiest here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like I'm sitting there going like, this is pretty great. The Watcher ever getting closer once again. You know, he's closer in this episode than the last. Smaller too. He's just him being surprised at what happened next. Is the first sense that this show is building to a sort of conclusion at the end of the season.
Because I believe the implication is that Ultron Vision that shows up is not from the universe. He's from a different universe.
Yeah,
that's my take. That's why the Watcher is shocked.
Yeah,
that's mine too, because it wouldn't make a lot of sense if we followed the what if formula of this changed everything. There's no reason why at this point that Iron Man would have created Ultron.
Right.
So and then the division, like I don't see how that could happen. So my only implication is that he's from a different universe invading this universe.
Right, which is why I think he does the wait what.
Yeah. Which is why he sets up the idea that he's going to create kind of a multiversal Avengers team that we saw on the trailers.
Yeah.
Man, it's going to be really sad. It's going to be really sad if, like, in Infinity War to Endgame, like, Thor and like, they all get, like, wiped out, half of them. If, like, Ultravision kills all of Thor and his party friends, and that's, like, the cause of, like, the new multiversal war, and the Watcher's like, yeah, and Thor and 6 billion people were wiped out by Ultron. I'm like, he can't catch a break. That's so sad. Oh, my God.
There is a clip from the mid-season trailer that has Thor talking to evil Doctor Strange.
I have seen
Thor.
Yeah, I have seen like people come together, and I guess
we get a Guardians of the Multiverse.
We do get a Guardians of the Multiverse. Yeah,
will be the last episode we see T'Challa. Chadwick Boseman is T'Challa, I should say.
Yeah. I'm curious if how they're gonna do this.
I am too.
Like, I wonder if the next like 2 episodes are going to be like Endgame, not Endgame in the movie, but like finale stuff.
I think the next episode will show us the universe with
Gamora. Yeah,
and the end of it will
lead into
like more than just this one did. Probably like the last 5 minutes.
Oh, because there's only 9 episodes.
Spill into
right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. There's only
We'll spill into the finale.
That makes sense.
I think the same. I think we're getting the Gamora Thanos episode as its own standalone what if episode, and then the end of that will lead into Ultravision or whatever.
And we'll find out where Ultravision came from in like hindsight, and then see the Guardians getting together to face him. But so we know detail episodes like the Ultravision seems to come from a world where Tony Stark ends up on Sakaar.
Oh,
that's the implication. There's a episode title that's out there that says, "What if Tony Stark went to Sakaar?" We'll see how that happens. But that seems to be something that leads to this.
Maybe. I mean, it'd be a lot to put in one episode. But
here's how I think it happens. Here's how I think it happens. I think at the end of Avengers, when he takes the thing up to blow up the Chitauri ships,
he gets transported.
He falls into Sakaar rather than falling back to Earth.
I gotcha.
And who creates Ultron?
Tony, but on Sakaar.
On Sakaar. Oh yeah.
I was like, oh man, maybe Hank Pym actually gets to do something finally.
Because I thought that maybe instead of Hulk leaving in the Quinjet, it would be Stark at the end of Age of Ultron.
That's just my initial guess. Like my initial thought of it, of what if Tony ended up on Sakaar, and I'm like, well, that would be an interesting way to do that if he fell into Sakaar instead of falling back through the hole.
Yeah. I don't know where. I'm interested to see where Ultravision came from. That's probably not his real name, but let's just call him that for the time being.
Right. For now, it's Ultravision.
Yeah.
I mean, also, I love how you see the Infinity Stones on him.
So
I'm like, that's like scary. That's actually pretty terrifying, especially those Ultron sentries.
What if scary. It could even be? What if it's like in Age of Ultron, Vision's like, nah, Ultron, you're right, and they combine. Like, it could even be
right. I'm just saying, like, based off how we have the title things. Like, I'm interested in. Yeah, but also everyone's like, so how do you get that Soul Stone? We'll find out.
Maybe
Yeah,
Thanos. Maybe Thanos already had it and he stole it from Thanos.
I hope they'll stick the landing on it.
Yeah.
I'm more than anything at this point, because there's only 2 episodes left, and I'm pleased enough. I'm hopeful that there'll be some really fresh new stuff in season 2. Not necessarily like, oh, I don't want to see whatever they make of these Guardians of the Multiverse again. I'm not saying that, but I want them to take kind of like the audience reactions and run from there, like what really worked, what didn't, and make a stronger second season.
Yeah,
because I think there's greater potential in the long run of this.
I also want to see a stronger second season. I'm only concerned because they are neck deep into the second season at this point. And having like, I know they were talking about like, yeah, in the next season we could return to these worlds. Like, I don't really know if I want to. I think I want to keep going with the anthology thing. I just want stronger anthology episodes. I want more consistency. Because what's burning me out is the lack of consistency in this series.
Sure.
And what's so crazy is it's not like every episode has a different creative team. It's like the same group of people making all these episodes.
Yeah.
So it's just like they themselves are good at certain things. And it's like they have to be spread so thin against every other medium that they're trying to make.
But we'll see. You know, like there's a lot of like factors that were working against them, in the sense of like, you know, this is Marvel Studios' first animated production. This has largely been worked on during the pandemic. This was a weird off thing to even try to begin with, and probably didn't have all the laser focus that they would have wanted it to have. So there's hope for it. I hope the fact that they're saying they want to expand into other animated projects means that they'll give more attention to what's of value here and what maybe needs to be tweaked.
Absolutely.
Because I'm sure like there's plenty of the criticism out there. I know overall like there's a lot of positivity about this series, but I know the criticism is out
from
there.
everything that I've seen. A lot of Casey casuals, and that's people who are casual fans of the Marvel movies. They seem to really like most of the episodes. They're not so critical about like story stuff or character stuff. You know, they're just like, oh wow, this is cool that it's even happening, and I'm like, I appreciate it for that level alone. You know,
right? Yeah. Like I've talked to my mom about it, and my mom's like, I just can't believe that they're making a thing where they're doing like alternate versions.
Yeah.
This is like, she's like, honestly, it's a little hard for me to wrap my head around, but it is cool. And I'm like, I get that, and I've heard that from kids too. That like kids like What If a lot.
Oh yeah,
if
this were coming out when I was a kid, I would be losing my mind, because this is like, again, my favorite shit is like good, like as long as it's good, like good multiverse stuff.
Yeah, it's like.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's kind of like when you're watching a Batman show. And then it's like, hey, but what if this happened instead of what you saw on TV? It's like, here's the Elseworld story. Here's the branching timeline. And it's like, yeah, what would have been different? I want to see what happens.
Do you remember that episode of Batman the Animated Series where Scarecrow made Bruce think that Barbara Gordon was killed, and like it's like Jim Gordon comes after him, and like Tim is gunned down, and he becomes a fugitive. It's a fantastic episode.
I've only seen clips of that, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's a scene that I always remember. Sorry, real quickly. There's a scene that I always remember of like Jim Gordon driving up to Wayne Manor, and he answers the phone, and Bruce answers the phone, and Jim goes, "It's over, Bruce. It's over, Bruce. Whatever happened to Barbara?" And Bruce like, "Jim, I'm so sorry about what happened to Barbara. Like I just heard." And he's like, "Cut the shit, Bruce. Like I know. I've always known. You think the daughter hangs out with you, and I don't know. I've always known you're Batman. I just let it slide. No more." It's a great episode. Anyway, Marc Millar said that there's a live action Marvel Zombies thing coming out, and I was just like, I'm good.
I mean, in the same way that Jim Shooter also recently said that they're working on a Secret Wars thing because he got talked to by his lawyers about getting paid for it. Yeah, 100%. In the future, something is probably going to happen with zombies again. Secret Wars is absolutely the biggest thing Marvel's ever done. They're going to do something with it. Will it happen tomorrow? No. Give it a couple years.
No, I'm not talking about Secret Wars. I'm not talking about Secret Wars.
Marvel Zombies, saying I 100% believe they're going to do something with Marvel Zombies.
I was mostly commenting on the fact that I don't like that episode, and if we're going to continue that kind of storyline in any form, I'm fine.
If you make it like the comic, I'm hella on board.
Well, we'll see. All right. Anything else you want to add, or should we get out of here?
I got. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
You go first.
Okay.
My hand.
I was gonna say one other line that I really liked is when Thor is talking, when Captain Marvel shows up and Thor is talking to her, and he says, there's a word for people like you. I was like, oh no, is he gonna say it? And he says, party pooper. Another great reason of how you think that when you think the show is gonna go right, it quickly swerves to the left, and it just nails the landing.
I knew he wasn't gonna say like bitch or something. I knew he wasn't gonna do that. I thought he was gonna go, "You're not a very nice person," just something like that. But party pooper, even better.
The part for me wasn't that wasn't the part that made it. What made it for me was that he said party pooper, and then he went, "So ha, take that."
It's true. But this episode was really good. This episode was definitely. I really enjoyed the Killmonger episode, but after the zombies one, this was a nice palate cleanser. It's like, man, this show can be really good.
Yeah, even when it's dark, it can be really good. It's just like balance.
Really gorgeous backgrounds.
Yeah.
Sparks, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I think that this has only further, like, knowing that we're getting that Guardians of the Multiverse, which means we're getting the T'Challa Star-Lord. It's only further cementing for me that, like, so are we just, they're going to set up this Guardians of the Multiverse thing when we come back for season 2, we're still going to have T'Challa Star-Lord, right?
I wouldn't be shocked if, like, the plan was for him to be major and they cut him down.
Yeah. Because I'm like, I don't want you to, like,
get rid of him. Yeah.
Get rid of T'Challa in all the universes just because Chadwick Boseman passed, which sucks. But, that is a good character. It's not a character you should just pass aside lightly.
Especially when he's, like, one of the standouts in the season.
Yeah. That being said, I also was thinking like a couple of things about the longevity of this series and like what it could do, and there were two specific thoughts that I had, which I just wanted to ask you guys if you've thought about them at all. Which is, do you think we'll get to a point with What If where they'll not necessarily introduce the version we'll see in movies, but introduce a character we haven't seen yet that we would see eventually, like someone who would be on the level of like Howard the Duck, but we're not seeing their necessarily like MCU version. We're seeing them from a different universe, but like they're ramping up to that. Because, like, I'm thinking, like, this might be how we see a MODOK at some point. We might not ever get in the MCU version, or we would later, but, like, they could do a What If MODOK like that.
You mean
a comic character that we
would only show up in the show, not in the movies?
That could show up in the movies, but, like, we'll see them here first in an alternate universe.
Captain Carter.
We're talking about, like...
No. I'm not saying, like, not someone we've met now. Like someone like MODOK, someone like that coming from
on the level of Howard the Duck, like on the level of like a Howard the Duck or a MODOK, someone who wouldn't be a major thing. Yeah, I think eventually we'd probably get to that point where we see a character play a minor or major role, and we see them in a minor role in the movies. I see that.
That's kind of where I want the show to go, is like where we can get some of the comic characters that are maybe even like their designs are kookier, that kind of thing, where we can get something that's more faithful to the comics, whether or not we'll ever see them in the MCU classic, like just to have places where you can play with those characters. That's where I want us to get out there. That
I like, obviously, as like a comic fan of What If, like that I would love that. I just judging from this first season, I don't think so. I'd have to see the second season and them expanding out more, because now it's just like, yo, we're only tackling stuff that you know about, like strictly.
Yeah.
So I 100% would love to see that, but I don't believe as of right now they will do that.
Yeah. That's fair. I think if it goes long enough, that might not be the next season. That would be like a season 3. But if they're going to keep, I'm not like, we're not going to just keep rehashing the MCU forever. Like, you're going to have to start bringing in some new stuff, some new ideas.
Well, when Fantastic Four, X-Men, all those guys, they're going to have another 2 seasons just for that bullshit.
And the other thing I was thinking is like, we're on the cusp of whatever the multiverse is going to do. No Way Home.
It's going to be madness.
Alfred Molina.
I'm a slut for Hollywood.
Whatever is going, like, whatever's going to happen with Venom, whatever's going to happen with the Netflix characters.
Oh, yeah.
But I was like, man, it'd be cool if we could start getting those guys in on this. I want to see some what if the Avengers had to deal with the Purple Man or some shit, and get David Tennant back in here. Like, that's where I want all this shit.
Well, what if Spider-Man had to deal with Kingpin?
Yeah.
And get Vincent D'Onofrio as the Kingpin again.
If we can't get it in a live action movie, I will take it in a What If episode.
It's easier to get someone in a booth than, in a big ass movie.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah, I think that's entirely likely that we could see maybe not the only, but like the first major crossover between the Netflix shows and the MCU proper would be in What If. Yeah. Potentially. I'm not saying for sure, but potentially.
I could see that. I feel like it's right there, and I'm like, I feel like we could get once No Way Home has passed and some of this other stuff has passed, I'm like, we could get now Belina, Doc Ock in a What If episode.
100%.
Like for sure. Even if it's like yet again another version of Doc Ock for that What If, like we can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Possibilities are endless in the future.
I'm hoping for that kind of stuff.
Oh no, absolutely. Like I think, unfortunately, like this is gonna sound mean. Like for me, it could only get higher.
Yeah,
this show can only get better. Like I think we're kind of at a road where, like, for me, you can't get any worse than this. You know, like not saying that it's bad, but it's very surface level. It's very, it's very good. It's all very good. Nothing is pushing boundaries in the show. Maybe one day they will.
I would really like to see, Sparks, what you're talking about, kind of branching off on that, is to utilize the animation medium. You know, there's a reason why the show is animated, and it's not just because it's cheaper to get your actors into a booth. It is because it should. I mean, I'm sure that's why, but like you should be able to branch out and not limit yourself to what the movies could do. You're in an animated format. Use that format.
Yeah, like that's what the Captain Marvel Thor fight was in this episode. Was like, hey, the movies will never make it look like that.
Yeah,
that looked great.
Yeah, and I think that as they go further, I think they'll probably get more comfortable with the fact that they're an animated show and they're not trying to pretend that they're still a live action MCU.
Yeah, and I hope that is where we're heading. I do want to see them just be like, we can be more bold here.
Yeah,
because what's stopping you?
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Your imagination. Okay. Anything else?
That's it. That's what if Thor was a cool guy. He's always a cool guy.
He's a pretty cool guy. All right, so that'll do it. So,
one last thought. This was the thing that made me more excited about seeing Thor and Jane back together. Because I'll be honest, like after Dark World, I was kind of like middling about that relationship coming back on board, and I'm like, oh no, if you like give them good material, they can have like fun. And they can have a we can actually talk about like what their relationship was like after Dark World, and we can get something there. I'm really
if the
excited
chemistry is good in that first Thor movie, and I think that the first Thor movie is like good. I don't think it's great. It's good. I can't even fathom how good it's going to be in Thor: Love and Thunder. And like it's going to be so good.
And their banter is good, even in like and. This is, this writing team and this episode, like their banter with each other is good. I'm like, I want to watch that relationship play in different ways.
But she's got muscles.
So I'm really excited for Love and Thunder. I think that's going to be great.
Bring back, what's his name? I got Tex and Oz.
He's Scourge.
He's there for a second, yeah.
We see him for a hot second, but he doesn't speak. And I'm like,
that was funny.
No Carl Urban.
There's a lot of... It would take us a long time to mention. Taika Waititi gets a word as Korg.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. He has a name of the credits. I'm like,
I worded like 3 different people.
All right, that'll do it. So that's What If. I guess 2 more episodes of this show, and then we got a bit of a break until Hawkeye. So that's exciting.
A little bit, yeah.
And then, so that'll do it. So make sure to like this video. Make sure to subscribe to this channel. You can get all sorts of cool stuff. If you want to see what we thought about other What If episodes, you can check out the rest of our back catalog on Fake Nerds Watch. Also, the other Marvel shows, WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, and Loki are here, as well as many other shows. If you're going through Swamp Thing for the first time, check out our Fake Nerds Watch for Swamp Thing.
There was a period of time where that happened, and it was on the CW.
It's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I just picked the show out of my ass.
Yeah. You're telling me, I know.
And then you can also check out the Star Trek Lower Decks Fake Nerds Watch that I'm doing with Just a Little Podcast and Michael Carls. We just recorded a 2-episode 5 and 6 for this. Yeah, that's coming out soon. That was just with Downright Annoys Michael Carls, but that's been a lot of fun talking about the other animated Star Trek show, Star Trek Lower Decks. And you can check out Basement Arcade. A lot of cool stuff for Basement Arcade. It is spooky season coming up. And you know what that means? Spooky Basement Arcades.
And that means I'm going to get scared shitless.
Listen, we skipped last year, so we got to go double the pleasure, double the horror this year.
You mean you guys are going to go double the pleasure? I'm going to go double the shoot at everything that moves.
You think you have guns in these games, Ben?
That's good.
And games with guns.
Cue the oh no.
And So stay tuned for Basement Arcade. Basement Arcade is going to come back with a vengeance, guys. We're recording a lot of cool stuff for that. Spooky season, Basement Arcade is going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to watch. And you can check out Basement Arcade Pause Menu. Basement Arcade Pause Menu, that's Ben's show. There are 2 episodes out currently. I mean, there's a lot of episodes, but the most recent ones were PlayStation 5 Showcase and Ali Say. Any episodes coming up that you want to like hint at? Ben?
Yes. A new episode is going to be coming up soon. That's where I talk with 2 of the guys of the podcast Arcade Talk from England, and then the episode after that is going to be with YouTuber Sin Spacies once again from Australia. I know a lot of Australians, guys. I don't know why.
That's cool. Get me in touch with the Weekly Pennant from Australia, and we'll talk.
If one of them likes video games and reaches out, then yeah, I will.
You can also check out Animation Station. There was a new episode of Animation Station recently recorded where Sparks and I talked about Adventure Time Distant Lands Obsidian, the second Adventure Time Distant Lands episode. That was a lot of fun. You can check out that. And Fake Nerd Book Club, that's on this channel as well. And Conversation is my audio podcast where I talk to podcasters. Unfortunately, I'm putting that on hiatus after the next episode, which sucks. But I will come back and record new episodes. But the latest episode is Travis Alexander. That's up now. You can listen to that. He's from the Kaiju Weekly podcast. And the next episode will be Michael Hamilton from the Kaiju Weekly podcast. So got a twofer for you. And I think really good episodes also. And of course, there's the Fake Nerd podcast. There's a lot of stuff that we do on the Fake Nerd podcast. We talk about news. We talk about reviews, movies, book clubs. This episode that probably had just aired or will just air. I don't know when you're putting this up, Sparks. We're talking about Malignant, which is James Wan's new horror film. You can check that out. We go live every Sunday to record our podcast, review Malignant. And then next week, I don't know what we're doing next week, but I think it's something. Most likely it's something.
It's probably something.
Yeah, most likely something.
Is that out?
Yeah.
Oh, hell
Wait,
yeah.
What's out?
Venom.
No, Venom's not out till October 15th.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
Oh, is it? I thought it was October 1st.
I thought it was October 2nd. One of my buddies at work said that Venom was out like in the beginning of October.
Oh, wait, it did get pushed. It did get pushed up.
Yeah. Hold on, I'm looking it up.
Look it up. It might be Venom.
I had another idea, not the one I told you guys to.
Yeah, it got pushed 2 weeks because of Shang-Chi. Because of Shang-Chi's numbers, it got pushed up.
Well, there you go. There you go.
Man, the roller coaster of caring about Venom 2 is wild, you guys.
Well, Sparks, I did promise you last time that we wouldn't review it, so you still have that power if you want to.
Yeah, like if I decide, I'm on the fence at the moment.
Sure.
I'm waiting for audience reactions.
Yeah, I saw a rave scene, so like.
Look, like if audience reactions tilt in a way where it's like, this is kind of like Venom again, guys. I'm gonna be like, yo, I don't need to do this one.
Yeah. It'll make its money without us. Yeah.
All right, but I mean, we can still see it. We just might not review it. But stay tuned. We'll see. And that's that. So you can check out our Patreon. You can check out our TeePublic. We got a lot of cool stuff on both of those. You can check out our social medias, which is Fake Nerd Podcast, our website, which is fakenerdpodcast.com. You can check out my social media at BT McClure on Instagram and Twitter. Ben?
You can find me trying to find where I can buy the drink Thor was drinking at BenMaggot27 on Instagram and Twitter.
Sparks?
You can find me hoping for the best but expecting the worst for What If? Venom? Who knows? At Sparks Witty on Instagram and Twitter, SPARKZ Witty.
And Ryan?
You can find me partying all night long. DJ Tony Snare.
All right. Like this video, subscribe to this channel. Until next time you see us, guys, stay fake nerds. All right. It's recording, so we can start whenever we want.
Whenever we want.
No. All right. Who's introing?
And Ryan, I thought
I thought you
Ryan,
said you
you
were
were
doing it,
introing. I said you intro. So
No,
okay.
I know. And then I said, yeah, I don't want to do it. But then you said, like, oh, I'll do it. And I was like, okay, so just don't do 14 what ifs. Oh, okay. All right, I'll intro.
That was cool.
I need a minute. All right, I'm good.